Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more session before our dinner. And this session is going to be presented by Mr. Jonathan Newman, is Vice President for Development, as earlier. And it's going to be the moment to act for African Airlines Distribution freedom today, retailing tomorrow, or retailer tomorrow. Now, what it says in summary is that the way airlines distribute is changing, and the opportunity for airlines in Africa to take advantage of retailing has never been greater. Now, discover how your airline will improve revenues, reduce distribution costs, and position for future advancement. So Jonathan will take us through some discussions on these aspects, after which we will then break and get ourselves ready in our dancing shoes for the gala dinner. Jonathan, you're now standing in the way between us and gala dinner.
Thank you very much. Well, as I've been told, so considering that I am the last act before it is time to have a pre-dinner drink and, as my colleague just said, to get our dancing shoes on, we will begin. So 30 seconds just about who Excelia are. So we're the leading provider of NDC and retailing solutions in the airline industry today. We're backed by Vista Private Equity, and we're built 100% in the cloud on Amazon Web Services. Now, two very quick history question for you. Can anybody in the room put their hand up and tell me which aircraft and aircraft type became mainstream in 1986? Anybody? Anybody? Anybody want to hazard a guess? It's a very big one, 1986. All right. Well, you would have got there in the end. It was the Boeing 747-400. Now, what other technology became mainstream in this exact moment? Which other technology became mainstream around the world? Okay. Well, I won't leave you guessing. It was the GDS. So the global distribution systems went mainstream in 1987. Now, if you think about that, that's 38 years ago. Okay. So in the last 38 years, so subsequently, there are now only 13 of those beautiful 747s still flying in the world. But in that last 38 years, there's been huge advancements in the travel industry. Fantastic innovation that's happened all around the world and here in Africa as well. But what's happened on the other side? Well, still, we have the GDS. And the GDS today, hello? Oh, is that better? You can actually hear me now? Is that better? Okay. Thank you very much. But yet still, the GDS are contributing the majority of transactions here in the African continent. So there's a famous phrase that I'm sure you all know, which is, when the music changes, so must the music. And so much has changed in the last 38 years, not just the innovation that's come about in the travel industry. Firstly, the economic reality has changed. It's been mentioned a few times today that the profitability of African Airlines is $1 per passenger, compared to an industry average of $7. So around the world, we call this the cup of coffee index. Secondly, customers have changed. So customer expectations have changed dramatically. When you think about all of the different digital solutions that you use today, every single day, right? Before you even start thinking about those AI tools that are in your pocket, the demands we have increased so much. At the same time, society has changed. Now, society has changed not just because of technology, but technology has been a huge driver of the change in society all around us. If you think back to 1987, this brick-like Motorola was the high point of technology, right? And the same with the 747, the same with the GDS, the high point of technology in 1987. And today, it's an iPhone 16 Plus Max, whatever you might want to call it, right? And that has changed society. And lastly, there's more uncertainty in the world than ever before. And that can be expressed in so many ways. But we're living in an era of uncertainty which has never been seen before, and I hope isn't seen again into the future. So what we're talking about is distribution freedom today and retailer tomorrow. Because in order for airlines to be able to start to move into the future, to start to recognize those changes that have happened in the last 38 years, that the music's changed, so therefore, has the dance, this is the way to start. Now, 2 major airlines in Africa have taken this approach. So one, Airline in South Africa, who are launching in May, so almost as we speak, and one more launching in June, and they will be revealed very, very soon. So what do we mean by distribution today? What do we mean by distribution freedom? Well, firstly, this means a number of things. So firstly, about making sure that there's a relevant cost base for how you do business today. I'll repeat what I said on the panel, and I'll reference the honorable CEO of Rwandair, who talked about the increase in cost of operating an airline in Africa versus the rest of the world, and that's everywhere. Distribution freedom enabled by NDC allows airlines to have a much more reasonable approach to distribution cost. Revenues. There are studies today, and there are examples today of airlines that have been using our technology around the world to drive hundreds of millions of dollars in new revenues, in improved revenues via ancillaries, and now via dynamic pricing. And lastly, around brand. When you think today about the way that the brands that we all admire, those have come about and those have been maintained because of the experience that they provide to their customers. Now, 1980s technology doesn't enable that. So that's really what we're talking about with distribution freedom. And what does it mean in reality? Well, it means no dependence on any one channel. So today, smart airlines around the world are talking about GDSs as aggregators, which is their function. But they're talking about them in the same breath as Vertail, as TP Connect, as Wuba, as Air Gateway, because the airlines that are really taking advantage of distribution freedom are looking at them in exactly the same way and managing their traffic that way. In the same way that they are taking smart interfaces for travel agencies around the world to use directly instead of green screen technology. And lastly, of course, direct connects via APIs. Now, what does this mean for travel sellers? Because for airlines, it's very clear. It's more revenue, it's more efficient cost, it's better brands. But what does this mean for travel sellers? Well, firstly, it means faster training and better sales. Onboarding a new travel agent into a travel agent takes time because they have to learn this kind of technology. However, with NDC, by embracing distribution freedom, travel agents can start to use modern, intuitive user interfaces in order to sell. And they can also, it's an easier way to sell more. If you think about the new rich ways that travel sellers can sell ancillaries, it's much more intuitive, it's much easier, and it means that they can create more value for their customers and therefore make them stickier and therefore sell more. Now, why do we get to stand here and talk about this? Well, we are the leader in enabling distribution freedom across the industry. So we today power over 50% of all NDC transactions around the world. And some of our airline customers are experiencing over 80% adoption of NDC. So that means in those 80% of their indirect sales, they are not being charged the same distribution costs as they are today. Now think about that for a second when you're thinking about how you manage the cost, as the colleague before me was talking about, versus your own P&L today. We're connected to over 250 sellers around the world via Direct Connect API, 250. And we're enabling those connections for our airlines in a matter of days, not months, days. And we're also doing that for them as a managed service. So when we provide to them the concept of distribution freedom, we're providing them with all of these tools, and we are providing the integration to their travel sellers on their behalf for them. But what does this mean to airlines in Africa? Well, we've just shown you an example of 2 airlines that have taken the plunge with Excelia, Airlink, and one more to be announced very, very soon. But what does it mean for airlines here? Well, as now we've mentioned, we'll come on to that. Today there are only 4 airlines out of the 77 airlines that are on the IATA retailing index that are in Africa. Now, that's just about to be expanded significantly by those additions from Excelia. 88% of sales here in Africa are made by legacy channels. 88% via legacy channels. And it's been mentioned a few times, and yes, because of payments and et cetera, et cetera. But if you think about the sheer scale of the volume of transactions and the volume of cost that is associated with that, it's a way for airlines to start to improve profitability very, very quickly. There's over 25,000 travel agents in Africa. I mean, it's a staggering number, and it's growing all the time, and it needs to grow. But travel agents that are growing here in Africa and that are starting up here in Africa need to be doing so using the right technology right from day one, not depending on technology that was founded in the 1980s. So as the industry grows here, it's really important that the industry the industry embraces this new technological change. And lastly, as we've mentioned a number of times, the opportunity for airlines in Africa to increase profitability is right there in front of them. But don't just hear it from us. I'd just like to, and the volume's not working. Thank you. No, the volume's not working? Okay, well, I'll share the video perhaps afterwards, and we'll happily make it available via social media, etc. But this is Roger Foster, who's the CEO of Airlink, who's just recently retired. And what he's talking about here is the step change that NDC is making for his business, for Airlink. The change in their cost of doing business and in the way that they'll be able to generate new business into the future, and the way that they will be able to compete with LCCs into the future. So what do airlines in Africa need specifically to start moving ahead with this? Well, NDC has been really slow to grow in Africa. As I just mentioned, there are 4 airlines that are certified on the IATA retailing index, just 4 here in Africa, of the however many hundred of airlines there are operating here in Africa. Well, firstly, you have to move away from costly and time-consuming implementations. This has to be done much faster. I was talking to an airline earlier today who started to think about this change a year ago and has still not implemented, has still not moved ahead. If we roll back 2 or 3 years ago, and people were scared of this change in technology, people were wary of this technology because it was going to overtake their business. It is now so much more lightweight now. And lastly, the ability to connect to partners. So really what we're talking about is a very faster value solution with a relevant cost and ease of use. So this is what we're advocating for and talking to the African airline market about. NDC ticketing enabled at speed. Not one-year projects, but we're talking about this being developed and onboarded in a matter of weeks. We're providing to airlines the right kind of scope that they need. So not a project to entirely turn inside out an airline's ecosystem, but to provide them with the tooling that they need in order to be able to make a difference to their distribution and retailing. And lastly, the ability to connect directly with their partners in a matter of a couple of weeks, and not that it will take them months, and that they will have to stand up their own team to be able to manage that API. And where do we go from here? So a lot of airlines, when talking about retail, and they say, and you ask airlines where they want to go to, or what's their reference, everybody says Amazon. Everybody says, I want to be the Amazon of the airline world. Now, I personally don't think that's realistic for a number of reasons. Airlines are it's a special class of industry. And there's a lot that happens that is a lot more complex within our industry in retailing. However, there are lots of things that airlines can learn from the likes of Amazon and other retailers in order to be successful. And if you look at this flywheel here, this flywheel which actually comes from Amazon, this to me epitomes what the future of retailing will be within the airline industry, which is a flywheel of growth, which is powered by customer experience, growth in traffic, or in this case, volume, more sellers, so more travel agencies, more B2B activity, and a better selection of product, so a better ability to retail what it is. Now, that is the Amazon model, and that's what retailing is all about. But at the same time, that enables airlines to better reduce their cost structure and ultimately deliver affordability to their customers. So when you're thinking about your retail journey and you've started on this process, on this journey of distribution freedom, ultimately this is the flywheel graph which will start to power your future into innovation. Now, I've rattled through this really quickly in order so that we can go and have a pre-dinner drink, get our dancing shoes on, and go and enjoy the gala dinner. So if there's more that you'd like to learn, if there's more that your airline would like to understand about distribution freedom, about where retailing is going, and in particular, how this is relevant to the African market, then do feel free to click to scan the QR code, and connect with us in order for us to provide a free consultation, which we're more than happy to do. And at the same time, if you'd like to hear more, if you'd like me to send you the videos of Roger Foster talking about why NDC is important for his airline, then please do connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to share it. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much for indulging me to talk about this right at the end of your very jam-packed day, and hope to see you all for dancing and drinks later on this evening. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies for our late end of today. I believe tomorrow we will make up for the lost time today. Some announcements for the evening. We will leave here to our respective hotels and get ready. The buses that will take you will depart from your hotels 30 minutes after dropping you. 30 minutes after dropping you, they'll pick you to the venue of the gala dinner. The gala dinner is not happening in the hotel here, it's somewhere else. For those who are here, 30 minutes from now, the buses will be ready to pick you to the venue of the gala dinner. The venue is called Atelier du Vin. I hope I got that right. You don't need to remember the name, the bus drivers know the place. So just get yourself ready. The dress code is business casual or traditional. I'm sure the Africans here know what I mean by traditional. But I'm sure the Europeans also have a traditional cultural attire. So you don that and get ready. As soon as we congregate there, dinner starts with the drinks, and all the other good things will be added onto us. Also remember, I mentioned about the B2Bs. Register. Okay, so the dress code and the details are on the screen. It said elegant business. So you interpret that the way you understand it. And dress accordingly. Okay? So now tomorrow morning, we will start at 9 o'clock sharp if we want to end early. So 9 o'clock sharp, we're all back in the room here and we start. Tomorrow is a much shorter day, then we can now break for the one-to-one where we do business transactions, where we close deals. So I hope I haven't left anything out, the team. Otherwise, I wish you all the best. Let's go to our buses. For those staying at Kigali Serena, the bus that will take you to the hotel will wait for you, 30 minutes, and continue to the venue. For those at Park Inn and Lamigo, the bus will also drop you off and pick you after 30 minutes and take you to the venue. For those in this hotel, the bus leaves 30 minutes after you walk out of the room. Thank you very much, and I wish all of you bon appetit, and see you tomorrow morning.